today we're reading John chapter 13, and this sort of begins chapter 13 all the way to chapter 17. Just make a mental note of this. Sort of Jesus's teachings all throughout those chapters is kind of his final teachings for his disciples. And we're going to see just this. He's trying to sort of make sure that they understand the most important things. So there are going to be some themes that will run throughout these chapters, because he's going to go to the cross after this. And so he's going to go to the trial after John 17. He's going to be betrayed by Judas, and he's going to end up on the cross. And so pay attention to John 13 through 17, to Jesus' teaching, and then also to the response of the disciples. So we're starting here with the Passover celebration, and Jesus is going to have this Last Supper with his disciples. And this was a sort of a Jewish ritual dinner. But Jesus is going to give it new meaning. It says in verse 3, Jesus knew that the Father had given him authority over everything, and that he had come from God and would return to God. So he got up from the table, took off his robe, wrapped a towel around his waist, and poured water into a basin. And then he began to wash the disciples' feet, drying them with the towel he had around them. Now, I know this sounds weird to the modern reader, but trust me, it was plenty weird to the disciples, because this was something that the lowliest servant would do, and yet Jesus did it, and he was trying to make a point. And you'll read about it as you go through here, but I want to scroll down here to verse 12 so we can see what his point was. After washing their feet, he put on his robe again, and he sat down, and he said, "Do you understand what I was doing? You call me teacher and Lord, and you're right, because that's what I am. And since I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you ought to wash each other's feet." So Jesus is modeling a different kind of principle in the kingdom of heaven. It's the principle of, I call it the upside down kingdom, where the servant is going to, or the master is going to be the servant of everybody, right? It's not about, hey, if you're the master, then everyone serves you. No, in the kingdom of God, if you're the greatest, if you're the most mature, then you serve other people. In Foundations, we call this truth number 3. We mature, we show that we're mature even by helping others, right? By looking outward, not by looking inward and having everyone serve us. So as we scroll further down, Jesus is going to predict that he's going to be betrayed by Judas. This is all at the Last Supper still. But not only that, Jesus predicts that Peter's going to deny him. And then he comes down here to this last little teaching in this chapter. He says, "So now I'm giving you a new commandment. Love each other. Just as I have loved you, you should love each other. Your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples." And that's such a simple and profound passage here. And in a sense, it's not a new commandment, but in a sense it is, because it's not one of the 10 commandments. It doesn't say love each other in the 10 commandments. But if you take the last 6 of the 10 commandments, it's really the heart behind all of it is the heart of loving your neighbor. Right, in Matthew 22, we're going to read that Jesus says the most important commandments are to love God and then love your neighbor as yourself. And that's kind of what he's talking about here. He's saying, love one another. If you're a follower of me, the thing that will mark you more than anything else is that you love people, that you love each other, the other believers, but that even beyond that you love other people, even those who aren't yet followers of Jesus. And that's really a great litmus test for you even today. Even as you read John chapter 13, can you say that that's true of your life, that you love people? Or is your Christianity sort of something else? Has it turned into something else? That's a great question to ask yourself. But for now, you're ready to read John chapter 13, and we'll see you tomorrow for chapter 14.